I'm really excited about this one. Chad Marks, welcome to the Armchair NBA. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so this goes full circle. Judge Gleason represented Chad Marks. But before we get into that, let's start out, man. Give us your formative years. Where did you grow up? And give us a little context about who you are.
Okay, I'm from Rochester, New York. At the age of 24, I ended up getting arrested, and they kind of charged me with this big nonviolent drug conspiracy originally. Then they turned it into a bunch of other things. I had a 1-count indictment. Eventually, it became a 16-count indictment. Ouch. I went to trial, was found guilty of 2 924Cs, which Judge Gleason's the architect on getting that fixed.
Yeah.
And a crack cocaine conspiracy. I ended up with a 40-year mandatory minimum. Went to prison. Donald Trump ended up passing the First Step Act, which allowed me an opportunity to get out of prison. I wrote my own pro se motion, had that all filed, and then Judge Gleason ended up taking over. And if not for him, I probably wouldn't be out of prison right now talking to you. So,
wow,
just a little bit about my story.
Irony and how small this world is. All right, but there's a lot to unpack here. So first things first. There were draconian drug laws. I'm not sure if they're the Rockefeller laws, whatever they were. But so you had the opportunity to do 10 flat, right? Versus, but you had to admit what you did versus you want to blow through trial. Give us kind of the decision process and what kind of counsel did you get at that time? And do you regret making that decision?
So my counsel was he was supposed to be the best where I'm from, but I never knew what a real lawyer was until I ended up getting Judge Gleason on my case and he became my lawyer. So back then in my neighborhood, like, this guy's the guy, this is what's going to happen. And really, man, there was just a dispute in my case over 2 points. In the federal system, everything's on a point system. There was a dispute over the 2 points. I said, hey, look, tell them to get rid of the 2 points for the gun. I'll take the plea. If not, I'll still take the plea anyway, but try to get rid of the 2 points for the gun so I can take the drug program and possibly get a year off my sentence.
Yeah.
My lawyer at the time had a big death penalty case. It was a murder 1 case. He was too concerned with that case, wasn't concerned enough with my case. And eventually the government said, you know what? Screw this guy. Because my lawyer never told him, hey, this is what we want. He wasn't in there negotiating like he should have been, right? He wasn't telling him, hey, take off the 2 points. We'll do this. Take off that. We get the mandatory 10 no matter what. You can't go below that. But we're fine with that. He never did any of that. So the government said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to supersede the indictment. And that's what they did. My mandatory minimum went from 10 to 40 years. So at that point, there was no other choice but to go to trial. On the day of trial, I did tell them, hey, look, I'll take 17 years right now. They said no. I told my lawyer, I said, look, man, I'm scared. I'm guilty. What they charged me with, I'm really guilty of this shit. So if you can, man, just tell them 20. And they said, no, 27 years. And at that point, 27 years, 40 years was the mandatory minimum. I decided to go to trial, man. There was no other option for me.
There's some, forgive me, Chad, my allergies are really bad. There's a lot to learn there. So just people know, number one, it matters what lawyer you have. I don't care what anybody says. There's areas you don't chintz in life. You don't chintz on your physicians. You don't chintz on your legal defense or lawyers. You don't chintz on accountants, financial advisors, and so forth. So certain things in life you don't cut corners. So number one, you need the right defense, right? Number two, look at their caseload. Ask them about their caseload, right? Hey, what do you got cooking? What's going on? Do you have associates? Do you have? Are you going to be lead chair? Are you going to be? There's a lot of questions to ask. The second thing is, and a lot of lawyers don't like this, throw a few bucks at another attorney to not evaluate their tactics, but their strategy. And these are all things that people really need to understand, especially facing hefty sentences like you were. Okay, so you go to trial. Obviously, you get found convicted. You get 40 years. But rather than kind of just take your time and kind of be woe is me, you were very proactive about learning about the legal system and educating yourself. I'm really fascinated about that, Chad. Why don't you walk us through that a little bit?
Okay, so when I went to jail, right, in the county jail, I'm thinking, there's no lawyer going to fight for my life like I'm going to fight for my own life. I started hitting the law books, started reading, started learning. And I was, I guess I was kind of good at it. And, I would write everything for my lawyer. This is what needs to be done. This is what needs to be done. Do this. And then the lawyer starts to get pissed off a little bit, right? Like, you're not a lawyer. You think you're a lawyer, because a lot of lawyers don't want to do the work. I don't care if you pay them 30, 40 grand or not.
Yep.
It's just how it works. People don't want to work. And in the federal system, a lot of lawyers come and they're like, hey, look, this is what the government said. Here's the sentencing guideline book. You're 32. You're a criminal history 3. You have to take this. If you don't take this, they're going to give you life. And most people cop out. That's why they have a 97% conviction rate. But make no mistakes, if you go to